Hey guys, I decided to share with you guys one of my online makeup academy assignments. I had to take a daytime look and transform it into a more glam nighttime appropriate look. So first off, I went in with the rose toner from Fresh and just kind of prepped her skin with it. Then I'm taking the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas Primer and going in with my little brush here to kind of smooth out her skin. Then for her brows, I'm actually just taking a single MAC eyeshadow and it's in the shade Cork, and I'm just using that to lightly fill in the sparse areas in her brows. She had really good eyebrows to begin with, so literally, as I said before, just filling in the sparse areas if need be. Next, I'm setting her brows with the Anastasia Brow Freeze. It's that little clear brow gel that comes in the little pot, and I'm just using it on a disposable applicator. For her eyeshadow primer, I'm taking my Louise base as normal, and I'm taking the shades Rumor 02 and 04. I just wanted to create a shade that was one step lighter than her actual skin tone, just to kind of brighten and even up the tone on her eyelid. And I am using a clean fluffy brush to kind of blend out any of the excess, because otherwise if you don't get off the excess, it does tend to crease a little bit. So then not gonna lie, I don't exactly know what shades I took. I know I took like warm brown kind of shades though, and kind of a combination of warm browns and burgundies for this eyeshadow look. I took it out of my magnetic palette from my Makeup Forever tin, and I just kind of took a combination of random brown warm eyeshadows. And then I actually took one of the champagne shades from the James Charles palette. It's one of like the bigger pans on the inside, and I used that to use on the center of her lid there and kind of in the inner corners. Then I'm taking my gel liner. It's the Inglot 77 Gel Liner, one of my absolute favorites, and I took it on an angled brush and I'm just thinly lining along her lash line. Since this is a more natural, daytime appropriate look, I didn't want to take the liner too thick. Next, I'm just using my eyelash curler to curl the ends of her eyelashes there, just to make sure that it evenly curls and sets with the false lashes that we're about to put on here. And again, you want to be very careful if you're doing this on a client. You can even have them do it themselves if you don't feel comfortable. Next, I'm using a waterproof mascara. I believe I just used the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara for this, but to be totally honest, as long as it's waterproof, it doesn't really matter which one you use if you use false lashes on top. Next, I'm using the Ardell Demi Wispies, and I'm putting those right on top of the liner and also the curled lashes here. Just make sure that you kind of seamlessly blend them into the lash line. For foundation, she had amazing skin to begin with, and I kind of still wanted some of her freckles to show through, so I went with a more lightweight coverage foundation, and of course I went with my absolute favorite at the moment. I used the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder foundation, and I combined the shades 4 and 6. As you can tell, I'm applying the foundation with the same brush that I used for the primer, and then I'm just taking a damp sponge. You guys always ask me if the sponge is damp or not, and yes it is. And then I just go ahead and blend out the foundation there. I just feel like it gets a smoother application and less kind of textured looking if you blend it in with a damp sponge. And then next I'm taking the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, my absolute favorite concealer for clients, and I'm taking the shade Light Beige. I'm using the concealer to kind of highlight areas of the face as well, so I'm taking it right down the forehead, down the center of the nose, underneath our nose as well, kind of where we get redness, and then on the chin and underneath the eyes as well. I'm not applying a large amount of concealer, I'm just taking a little bit and going up underneath your eye. Just make sure before you actually start setting with powder that you want to make sure that all the concealer is actually out of any of the creases underneath the eye, otherwise all you're doing is just packing on powder on top of there. So now I'm going in with the Huda Beauty powder in the shade Pound Cake, and I'm going right in and pressing the powder into her skin. So I'm going underneath the eyes and then also right down the center of the face. Next, I'm taking the same warm brown shade that I took on the top of the lid and just kind of using a smudger brush and smudging out on the bottom of her lid just to kind of define it a little bit more. Then I'm just taking a little bit of mascara and using a brow spoolie and using it to coat her bottom lashes. Next, I'm taking bronzer here. I took my Patrick Ta bronzer. I took it in the shade Medium, and I'm just using the powder to kind of just bronze up the sides of her face, kind of where you naturally get sun-kissed. Not exactly sure where the footage of the blush went, but I took the shade Mood Exposure by Hourglass for the blush, and then I'm using my Anastasia Sundipped Glow Kit. Put it on the top of the cheekbones, on the temples, and right down the center of the face. Then for the lip liner, I took the Gerard Cosmetics lip liner in the shade Sugar and Spice. This is definitely my all-time favorite neutral brown nude color, and I've been using it on almost everybody, to be completely honest. It's one of my favorites. Then for the lips, I actually used a combination of the warm brown and neutral brown shades inside of the Danessa Myricks Nudist palette. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the first look. So now I'm going into the more dramatic glam look here. I know this kind of just skipped over really quickly, but I basically built up the cranberry shade in the outer corner, and then I also lined it with a thicker liner with the Inglot Gel Liner that I used earlier. Now I'm adding a little bit more black to the outer corners and then just using a clean brush to kind of smoke it out a little bit more and just make sure everything is evenly blended. Next, I'm going in on the waterline and I'm taking a flat definer brush there, like it's very, very thin. I'm just going in with a darker brown eyeshadow and just kind of pressing that into the lower lash line. Now here I am tight lining, so I'm going in with a straight up black gel liner here and I'm just pressing it right into the waterline. Just make sure you give your clients enough time to blink in between so their eyes don't water. Then I'm going in with more mascara, just coating the lashes a little bit more just to kind of add a little bit more drama. Then I decided to go straight into the lipstick. I just went in with that Danessa Myricks Nudist palette again and just took a little bit darker of a shade there. I decided to add more bronzer at the last minute to kind of just sculpt out her face a little bit more and even out the look, and this is the completed look. I hope you guys really enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. All right, bye!